Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Top 5 Wednesday. The topic for this week is books with witches in them, and when I sat down to think about it this week I actually realised there's not that many good witch books that I've read, and I don't really know why, because I do read a lot of fantasy and I do read a lot of horror and supernatural type books, but witches just tend to be something that don't really crop up in the books that I choose to read, and they're not something that I actively dislike or avoid or anything like that. I just haven't read that many of them, so I am definitely on the lookout for some good witch book recommendations this week. So if you have any, please give them to me. I have managed to put together 5 books that do feature witches or women with magical powers to talk about with you today. So the first one I want to talk to you about is The Witches by Roald Dahl, and I remember reading this when I was a kid and being so scared silly by it, and the film is even scarier. Just the whole idea that these women could be look like normal people, but actually they are just full of ugly evilness inside, and they will eat children because that's what they do, because they are evil, just because they are evil. Outside of Disney, I think these are the first witches that I remember ever being genuinely terrified of. So yeah, obviously if you haven't read The Witches or seen the film The Witches and you do fancy a good scare, because I'm sure it will still scare many adults, then I definitely recommend them. The next one I want to talk to you about is Hex by Thomas Oldie Hervelt, and I don't think that's how you pronounce his name, but that's what I'm going to go with. This is a book that I read last year when it came out, and I really enjoyed it. Basically, it's about a town that is haunted. It has been haunted for centuries by the ghost of this witch, and the townspeople are just so used to her presence that she will just appear in random places, like inside people's houses, and they're just beyond being scared of her because they're so used to her being there. And it was actually quite funny when I first started reading it, because I was like, why is nobody bothered by this ghost that's standing in the corner of the room? And they're just so used to her. It's really funny. But as the story goes into actually what happened to her, and she starts becoming a bigger presence on the town, it does actually get quite creepy and very dark and twisted. It does have a Stephen King vibe to it, this book as well, so if you are looking for a good horror witch book, then I would definitely recommend Hex. The next one I want to talk to you about, I don't know whether they could be considered witches, but they are certainly women with magic in their blood and in their family, and that is the Waverley Women in Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. And basically this book isn't really fantasy, it's more like sort of magical realism, family drama, romance type thing, but it's about a family of women who have a house and a garden in their family, and they've always had this house and garden for centuries, and the fruit and the flowers that grow in the garden have magical properties, and the girl who is currently living in the house, she uses these magic fruits and flowers to run her own catering business, so everything that she makes can make people think and feel things, and even give people certain magical abilities and stuff like that. It's just a really lovely, magical, romantic family book, so yeah, definitely pick it up if it sounds like your sort of thing. The next one I want to talk to you about is Arrowfire by Sarah J Maas. Manon Blackbeak and her coven are my favourite thing about the later Throne of Glass books. I just love them. I love the whole history of the witches that Sarah J Maas goes into as well. They're just so badass, and I love their chemistry. I love their relationships between the witches. They're just awesome, and they are definitely my favourite thing about the books from Arrowfire onwards in this series, definitely. So yeah, if you haven't got to Arrowfire yet in this series, then you're in for a real treat witch-wise, so yeah. And the last one in this video, you guys knew that I was going to mention it as soon as you saw the title of this video, right? It is, of course, the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I mean, I'm not going to do an entire video about books with witches in and not mention Harry Potter, of course I'm not. There's witches everywhere, of course there is, and I don't think I need to say much more because of course it is my favourite book with witches in, so yeah. And that is it for this week's Top 5 Wednesday. What are some of your favourite witch books? Please let me know, because as I said, I am really looking for some good witch book recommendations this week. I will leave all of my social media in the description down below. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye bye!